thank you all for joining us today. And what we're talking about really is that Outlook 2030, building better business in the Pilbara. And I do have a few questions that I'd like to ask you, and we won't go over time so everyone can go and get involved in the networking session. So John, if I can start with you, John Lally, I just want to talk a bit about we know that Karratha is a vastly different place to what it was 10 years ago. I mean, it's unrecognisable in every way. What would you say are the main areas that need to be focused on from a business sector perspective for the next 10 years as we move towards 2030? And are there any particular business sectors that you think we need to focus on for Karratha?
Well, to start with, Kitty, at my age, when you talk about 2030, it gets a bit scary because, I may be looking at something above me like dirt or... No. Look, I think where we want to go is, yesterday we had a great meeting with Rio Tinto.
Didn't we?
We did. You were there. And I think...
Thanks, I was.
Yeah. What happens is, like, throughout the Pilbara, there's been $50 billion, say round figures, whatever, spent. And then you do the numbers, and $5 billion a year is in maintenance. Now, that's just to maintain all those assets. And they're working hard at the moment. Everyone's pumping the stuff out. So what I feel is, and it's the simple stuff, it is getting our businesses more engaged in that $5 billion. Now, we're not greedy. We'll take 20%. We'll take $1 billion a year, which is a nice number. But basically, that's where we go. There's no magic bullets here. It's building that relationship. And yesterday, we spoke about the great work Chevron has done in Onslow with the sport. And businesses understand, not going to get all the business. But what I've noticed over the years is what I call golden crumbs, because when bigger businesses plug into the food chain, then smaller businesses go on the back of that. So it's developing that. And then along that, we know, and the opportunities there, the costs have come out of business around our area, especially in housing and rentals of properties, then we got the opportunity to expand tourism, do all those other things, but really it's the basics now. And places like Karratha, they are becoming logistical hubs. I know when the government gets the road through, I'm so pleased they're going to do that. They haven't quite announced it yet, but if Tom Price is connected to
But
Karratha,
we have now.
Yeah, well, we'll have a chat about that later. But basically, when we get those connections going, we need road connectivity, we need air connectivity. You've only got to go to Europe and see how that works. If the whole Pilbara is connected by road and air, then things can happen. Business can happen, tourism can happen. So I'm not looking for big silver bullets. I'm just thinking that we develop what we've got, we build these relationships. And, with the resource companies, I like to say to them, don't give us any money, invest in us. And what I'm saying is now, local businesses are becoming competitive. They're becoming competitive because their costs have come out. They've built capacity. There's some big businesses around our area. They employ more than 100 people and they've got capacity. So that's what I'm looking for.
Thanks, John. And thank you for everything that you do. Jason from the Onslow CCI. So John touched on it a bit. So Onslow has really seen, unprecedented growth in the past 5 years with the Wheatstone project having a hugely positive impact on the town. And I was lucky enough, not last year but the year before, to go up to Onslow for the Business Awards, and it was rather a large event. And but also got to see all the amazing work and things that were in the pipeline. As the Chamber, how do you carry that forward? What's happening now to ensure that there is lasting growth and expansion for your local businesses, given that Onslow is a town that usually has a population of 800 people? Yeah. And at the camp, there's how many? 5?
At peak, there was 7,000.
7,000.
It's dropping now. But
but 7,000, that's 2.5 Meridans sort of thing. Yeah, it's huge. So how do you carry that forward to ensure there's lasting growth for the existing businesses and the community, doesn't go backwards?
Yeah. Well, obviously our biggest issue is the size. Onslow, say it's 800 to 1,000 people, which doesn't warrant the business of 100 or so staff. It's generally your smaller businesses. So with the Onslow Chamber, what we've done is obviously we're the voice for those smaller businesses, and we've just recently, only on Thursday, we just released our business support program. So with the support of the Pilbara Development Commission and through the Royalties for Regions grants, we've set up a program which is it's a program that's obviously for the smaller businesses, the startup businesses, to get that support and sort of information they need. It's not there just to essentially do the work for them, do a tender for them or do things like that. It's actually to sort of nurture them and sort of grow them and start along a track of being self-sufficient as a business.
So, Jason, it's really developing their capacity, isn't it? So it's
absolutely,
there to help and support them, but not do it for them, and improve their capacity and improve their viability.
That's right. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then obviously the Chamber's sort of main focus is ensuring that we're the voice. We can take the time and look for those opportunities. Obviously, talk with the Chevrons and the BHPs and the commissions and anyone else that happens to be coming into the area to at least come and let people know very early on what's happening, when's the shutdown happening in Onslow on the Macedon project, or what's coming up, so that the smaller businesses that don't have to do the cold calling or know what's going on, they actually find out through the Chamber. We've done the hard work for them, and then they can actually find out what's going on. They can talk to the companies that are involved. They talk to the companies that might be tendering on the head projects, which obviously our local companies will never be able to do.
Yeah.
And then with the support program, everything else, they can have the systems and things in place to hopefully be pre-qualified for those bigger companies.
So the one of the things of the Onslow Chamber of Commerce is it is held in incredibly high regard across the whole of Western Australia and in the network.
Chantel's doing only.
Well, no, I think everyone needs to take credit.
Yeah.
And, you know, the network that I am involved in, the Regional Chambers of Commerce, you know, we have 44 regional chambers, and the Onslow Chamber of Commerce is constantly providing inspiration for many of our members. And for a town, like you said, with 800 people, I think you've got 140 members, 140 members.
Getting close to 150.
Of the Onslow Chamber. So
yeah.
It is and I think the secret, or not the secret, I think the key to it has been that everyone's had that attitude that we all, like John Lally always talks about, God helps those who help themselves, don't you, John? That's your mantra.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
the thing about the Onslow Chamber is they all get involved and everyone's taking a role. So congratulations and on that, Jason. Adrian, with the Port Hedland Chamber of Commerce, so we know that the East Pilbara Innovation Centre is currently underway and it's very exciting. It's very exciting?
It is very exciting,
Yep. Can you tell us what advantages that will bring to your whole community and how you expect it will shape business growth towards 2030?
Well, I think it gives the advantage of smaller businesses that are working from home, that don't actually have an office space at home to be able to use the collaborative space. There's small office spaces that they can actually rent in to sort of move that next step from being a home-based business to actually getting out there and promoting themselves and having that working space. It also gives the opportunity for Perth businesses and other travelling businesses that want to start looking into the region to actually use that space as well.
Base.
So it will help, you know, economic diversity with Perth companies and other, you know, Karratha companies or other Pilbara companies that can actually use that space to help build their business and develop that business in Port Hedland too.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? And I think the thing about home-based businesses and that micro business is they're completely flexible businesses. Sometimes they can just take over everything, but if you've got that space that they can have access to, it also gives flexibility for caregivers or people that are have young children. You know, they can also have both worlds. You know, they can do both things. So I think there's lots of exciting opportunities for that.
Yeah, it definitely is, and especially like having meeting room space and other spaces that they can actually hold meetings rather than invite someone around to their house. And yeah, it just gives it lots of opportunity to grow businesses in the region.
Yeah, and how far are we into that now? We're into the...
I believe the tender has been signed off now, so I would hopefully we'll see ground turning very shortly.
Watch this space. So next year we might get an update on that.
We certainly should.
And Doug, as far as from Gumala's point of view, what are the unique elements that need to be considered to grow a sustainable business in the Pilbara?
Gumala is the Gumala Aboriginal Corporation has a commercial arm to it, and I'm the interim CEO for that. That's what we call GEPL, Gumala Enterprises Proprietary Limited. And our job is to be a commercial business and to make money for our shareholders. So we've got a real intent and an aspiration to do that. I guess the issues in the Pilbara really just stem from the fact that, and we talk in volumes, we run a number of diverse businesses, and I guess from the tourist side of our business, volume is very, very important for us. And the other side of it that we run is the contracting, mining, maintenance area, and that really is determined by the commodity cycles that the Pilbara is so exposed to. But there's also other cycles, the cycles of the tourist cycle as well, the seasonal timing for our Karratha Eco Resort. That is more predictable, obviously, than the mining cycles. So we've been around 20 years now, and from looking back in history, it's a business that's waxed and waned in terms of its success, largely dependent upon the volume, the work that comes through the mining. And it's a real challenge for us to ensure that we have an enduring and sustainable business in managing that. So it's difficult to achieve economies of scale in those sort of turbulent environments. So for us, it's really about making sure that we're agile and can build and contract the business quickly, that we are competitive, and that we have diversity across our businesses. And as I mentioned, we have that the Karratha Eco Resort or Retreat, which is a magnificent business for us. Just in its own right, that's a business that needs more. And Peter alluded to it earlier, we need to bring more volume into that and have more experience that we can improve and increase our stay period. The people that come there come for a certain period of time, it's usually 2 days. There's a lot more business that can be developed through that, and it can sustain and build our overall business in time. And I know we're looking out to 2030, there is no doubt from what we've heard today, a huge opportunity in the tourist area for our business. To capitalise on tourist and hospitality. But we're also involved in looking at some potential involvement in the pastoral industry as well, so further diversifying with different products so that we can grow the business and pay our shareholders for their patience.
Thanks, Doug. And I think I agree with you about the volume, but also the sort of evenness of custom. Rather than having those huge fluctuations, I think every single business, that's a challenge, every single small business. If you've got sort of more steady stream of customer base, it's easier to manage, so you don't have those huge highs and lows. Thanks, Doug. Barb, I just wanted to talk to you a bit about Newman, and we know that, and we've heard a bit about it today from a few of our speakers. We know that Newman has recently seen some terrific work as part of its town centre revitalisation plans, which saw the final stage, the town square, being opened earlier this month. So how do you see this as President of the Newman Chamber impacting positively on existing businesses and also as an attractor for new businesses to Newman?
Our town square is absolutely fantastic. It really is for Newman, for our businesses that are already there, to be able to look forward to new businesses coming to town. It'll bring growth. It'll bring confidence to those who are already there. And as we know, we've got Dome coming to town. We've got these icons that are around the state. That just brings, as I said, that confidence, that air of things are actually happening. The town square, we've got open space, we've got green grass. You should see it, it's magnificent. A fabulous big screen. Everyone's waiting to see the football grand final there, Alan. And we've got office space, we've got a fantastic kitchen. All these things are there to bring new people, to bring ideas, and to consolidate for those who are already there, for those who are thinking, oh God, what's going on around the place? Are things okay? Things are on the improve, things are on the up and up. And if we all work together as a community and as a Pilbara, things will only just go on up and up.
Thanks, Barb. And I think I couldn't agree with you more. The whole message today has been about everyone working together and about everyone collaborating and partnerships, government, public-private partnerships. And I think that's what we're seeing in Newman, aren't we?
Partnerships, yes. Well, as we saw yesterday, speaking with Rio Tinto, it's important to have partnerships with the chambers, with the businesses, with the local government, with state government. I don't think this is working, is it?
Yeah.
Yep, we can hear you.
With everybody. And that's where the Pilbara, we all get together, and as John said, you pull together, and that's where success comes from. Success of everyone going in the same direction. For too long, we've all been going here, going there, and I see that in tourism. I'm also at the visitor centre. And now tourism is going to be the next step for the Pilbara. The next, not the saviour, that's probably the wrong word, but it's the way forward. It's the way we have so much to share with people. We have so much to show the rest of the world and to bring them to our town and to have our town square. It all just gels together and it all works together. Onward and upward we go.
Excellent, thanks Barb. Now we've got a 30-second answer for each 5 of you, and then that'll be the end of this panel, because we know that there's a few more things we've got to do and then everyone's ready to do a bit of networking. So the 30-second question, I'm going to start with you, Barb, is if you could pick one new small business to have in Newman that you don't already have, what would it be and why? Like a type of small business, what would it be? Investors, take note. Potential small business owners, take note.
At the moment, there's no form of clothing, whether it be children, adults, anyone. There's nothing at all in town. Go back to the old stores where you had a bit of everything. We need one of those.
Okay, you heard it. Don't want to branch out into, they're going into accommodation, department store. Doug?
If I look at our Karratha Eco retreat, we want to bring our average stay days from 2 to 3.
Yep.
That's a step change. People will want to come for a reason. And one of the things that we're not providing well there, I think, is the cultural experience. We spoke about that. That is what people really are coming there for. So we'll get an extra day with that. Perhaps an artist in residence. Perhaps a campfire with someone talking about the stars, but it will make all the difference to that business. It will improve our revenue by 30% by averaging another day.
Thanks, Doug. And Adrian? One business.
Yeah, well, I actually asked my wife this question and her answer straight away was shoe shop.
Here.
I think along those lines of, and I spoke to a few other people and they were in consensus, something like dry cleaning and simple things like that up in the Pilbara we can't get, and in Perth you take for granted just to get your suits and your dresses dry cleaned and things like that. So yeah.
I agree with that, and I think we had the story last year at the New Pilbara 1 about in Karratha, the laundromat and dry cleaners, wasn't it, the first one?
Yep.
I think, John?
Yep.
Thanks, Adrian. Jason, in Onslow?
I think as Chris Adams said this morning, you haven't made it as a town unless you've got an Indian and coffee shop, so obviously Dome and Indian,
yeah.
but
again, combining.
definitely Onslow, I think it's got a fair untapped tourism. We've got the resources sector all sorted. We're going to have all the support services from that, so probably more the tourism side of things, which isn't just going to happen overnight. It needs to be slowly grow, but definitely more tourism industry.
Yeah, exactly. And John?
I want a company to buy and put a tammy lift where the bloody marina's supposed to go. Because I've been like the Blues Brothers since 1994. I've been on a mission from God to get a marina for Dampier. We have 42 islands off Dampier where we can have bareboat charters, we can engage with Murujuga, we can just have a ball. So I want a tammy lift, and then if we get a tammy lift, Alana might give us a marina. Thank you very much.
Nice.